Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another real Gwent match coming at you over the internet. The power of that internet. So my opponent today is going to be playing Monster Deck. This is the first time he's ever played this, so it's a new experience for him. I really like the Monster Deck myself, but I'm going to stick with Scoia'tael because I really like this one as well. This is the Scoia'tael from the previous episode, which is all heroes, weather or agile units. Okay, so I don't get many comments on the videos, but I do read them all and they mean a lot to me, so feel free to comment more. So one of the previous comments from the last episode, number 7, was that he would have liked to have a counter on screen to tell us how many cards each player has in their hand. So this is going to cause more work for me because I have to go and do that and make sure it's right all the time. But I've done it. Nonetheless, it's a good idea. And so now you can see there's a card counter underneath everyone's strength. So hopefully that'll be nice for you. I do appreciate the comments, so thanks for making it. Okay, so I get to draw 11 cards. I'm not cheating. This is Scoia'tael's leader ability. If you choose it, to draw 1 extra card at the beginning of battle. So my friend did remark that he had a pretty bad hand. He's playing monsters, so a bad hand with Monster Deck is a really, really bad hand. You've got to believe him. Now, he placed all 3 of those neckers from his own hand. None of them came from the deck. So he did replace some cards, but it obviously didn't work well for him. He must have had a really bad hand. So now he's down to 7 cards already, and he's only played literally 1 card. So and he's already given up. So basically, he's got 6 and I've got 5, so that might be a good idea to give up just to make me play 1 extra card. So it seems like a really weird idea to give up so early, but I feel like monster decks have Arrakis and Crones, so you don't want to place them down if you're already behind, you know? Okay, so we did actually get the equipment out, ready for Monster Deck. He's got to choose out the 3, randomly generate it, and then we realise it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. They're all 2 strength neckers. It didn't even matter. That was a funny bit. I like that. Okay, so he gets to keep that card on the board, which is nice. And I'm going to plough down with some heroes to begin with. Again, he places his vampire down, but a second vampire came from his hand, so that's 3 cards so far that have been wasted. Basically, essentially, he started the game with 7 cards, you know, because 2 neckers and 1 vampire were obsolete because they have to be played when you play a card anyway. So that's that is a bad hand. That is like that's the worst hand I've ever seen for a monster so far. So Gareth did mention that he was going to play Monster Deck and I was playing Scoia'tael. So I did edit my deck just slightly. I took out 1 weather effect of impenetrable fog and 1 torrential rain and kept the 3 biting frost, because against monster the majority of their cards come from melee, so you don't need so many torrential rains and impenetrable fogs. So if this card game came into a tournament setting, for example, I wouldn't know if you're allowed to know your opponent's deck. Do you think you should be allowed to know whether they're going to play Scoia'tael or Northern Realms or Nilfgaard or monsters? Because if you know your opponent's playing monsters, you can build your deck around that pretty easily. Maybe that's a good thing, you know? Build your deck around your opponent's deck, so hopefully you can sort that out. The problem is, if you say, I'm going to play Monster Deck, he might he might have been starting to play Scoia'tael, but say, okay, I'm going to go Nilfgaard then. You know, I don't know. Maybe a blind pick might be a good idea in tournament setting. So you say, I'm going to play Nilfgaard. He says, I'm going to play monster deck to an impartial judge. And then you tell each other. And then you can, like, modify your deck however you want. Because the decks are not massively big. You know, every time you build a deck to these particular strength 135 that we play with, we generally only leave out 20 cards. And they're generally the worst 20 cards. Most of the difference comes from generally the special cards and maybe a couple of hero card choices. So I mean, I definitely like the idea of a side deck. You know, so if something doesn't go well in a first to 3 or first to 5, you can switch out some special cards, switch out some other cards, and then try again. But I mean, sometimes it is luck. Sometimes you lose due to luck. Like, he's played everything. I've literally been commentating for the entire match. He's played everything he has. I think. Crones, Arrakis, Vampires, yep. Because he can't lose this one. And he had a bad hand, so, you know, come down to luck. The shuffle god was not pleased with him today. The shuffle god was not appeased. And he's given up, so it's just down to me to play as many cards as I can. I had a really good hand, to be honest. I placed the Dandelion down to buff up the Dragon that I had down, so it went to 14, hopefully to bait out a Scorch, before I played the Smugglers. Because the Smugglers with Dandelion on the board is 30 strength, which is loads. And due to the agile ability, I'm going to start playing loads on the front row, just to, you know, I think that was really well played. I really liked this deck, and I really liked this hand that I had. It was very good. I'm placing loads of stuff on the front just to get the extra Dandelion, and all my heroes were mid. So if he had a Biting Frost, I could have played them on the mid row. But I think he does have one. He does actually show one. He does have a Biting Frost, but he can't play it because he's playing monsters. So we're just counting up at the minute. I think I basically said I got 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. You know, I clearly won. So he had a Biting Frost in his hand, which he couldn't use, and he also couldn't use his hero ability. I really don't think that was the best choice, since so that was probably his first error. You know, he really would have benefited from the one that lets you discard 2 cards and draw any card out of your deck. That would have been a really good one to choose, because then he could have got... Actually, hold on. If you discard 2 cards, they don't get drawn back out of the discard pile onto the field when you play them. So if you discarded 2 of the Neckers to pull out something amazing from your deck, they don't come out of the discard pile when you play your 3rd Necker, which is a shame, but it would just be broken. Would it be broken? Yeah, because then medic abilities would cause all the vampires to come out of your discard pile. Although, to be fair, again, just to finish this off, I'm wabbling on a bit. Just to finish this off, you've only got 1 medic person, and that's Yennefer of Vengerberg, so that's not too bad, you know? Being able to draw your crones out a second time, is that so bad? Considering some people have spies up the ass. Anyway, that's the end of the Gwent game, so thanks for watching, guys. And thanks for the comment. That really does help me out. Let me know I'm on the right track.